Hey, everybody. Jay Real here. And hopefully, my buddy Brandon's going to be joining me here soon. He sent me a message that he was going to restart his phone or whatever, restart his internet or whatever. And then he had trouble signing on, so he's going to reboot or restart or whatever. So hopefully, he'll be able to join us here pretty soon. And hang on. Let's see. There he is. I think.
There you go.
There you are.
Internet was working perfect until I tried to start and I had to reset the modem.
Yeah. You said you got a new modem?
I got a new I was using a hotspot, but I got an actual modem and a new phone. Maybe we shouldn't have talked shit about the Passion of the Christ and all that shit wouldn't have happened. Because the lights flickered before everything went out. It was kind of scary. I was like, I'm sorry, Jesus. But I do think it's a horror movie. You know, my dad will argue that tooth and nail with me, but it is a horror picture.
I don't even know if Jesus would like Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I don't think he would, but that was just kind of funny because I had like a little chandelier thing and it was, and the phone overheated.
Well, to start off with, it's Texas, and we've been dealing with Texas weather. So we've had 3 days, at least here in where I'm at, been dealing with storms 3 days in a row, off and on storms. And they get kind of loud and they get kind of rambunctious. Nothing just really crazy. There was a little tornado that touched down south of us. And I think that was Friday. Or
we went on lockdown at my job. At my first job, we had to hide in a little area because I'm kind of by the Buc-ee's in Hillsboro, and I don't know if it touched down, but there was a tornado warning, and it was crazy.
Yeah, but we've had a real pretty weekend, but beginning tomorrow, the storms are coming back. So, and for what I'm seeing, Monday is kind of scattered rain. Tuesday's the biggest chance of having some rambunctious storms Tuesday, and then scattered rain like Thursday and Friday, and then and next weekend's supposed to be nice. So there you go, Texas weather. We get real pretty weather, and then we get really mean weather this time of year. So,
yeah, you just get hell out of nowhere. You'll be chilling on the porch, and
that's something. We got some small hail, but I know where you're at there in West, man. You guys have got some monster hail and some
fifth.
Man. But I often, and I've been kind of by one person that I'm not going to mention, has been really critical of me and the stuff that I've been doing here. And one thing he was criticizing me about is how I always bring up the age difference between you and me. Like I'm kind of lording it over you. I've never tried to do that, But the reason why I'm going to bring it up now is that you brought this, what we're going to talk about tonight, you brought up the subject and suggested the subject. And I thought, music videos. And of course, artists, even new artists, still make it. I mean, it's still being done. They're still making music videos. There's so little new music that I listen to. But I was surprised. I won't say her name, but I had Lady A here playing some music as it was, play some new music or something like that. And she played a Lady Gaga song. And I was like, oh, but damn, I like that. So I went to YouTube and looked for the video and for this new album she's got. And there's a couple of videos that she did for her new album. And I said, I like that shit. I like Lady Gaga. I like the new album anyway. I'm shocked because I haven't heard any new music that I like at all, hardly ever. But this Lady Gaga, album. I like him.
Well, I think the reason that makes it so interesting when we do a show is the fact that you're older and I'm younger, so it's a little bit of a diversity thing. So
Yeah.
you might have certain things that's a little different than what I would have, but I think the best music videos are like short films, kind of. They kind of tell a story,
Yeah.
especially a lot of the older stuff that was shot on like 35 millimeter and stuff. It looks a lot better than some of the stuff that's kind of like just shot on video or whatever. But Lady
Well, that's,
Gaga has some interesting videos. Yeah, definitely.
that's why it kind of surprised me that you brought up the idea of talking about music videos, because I thought, well, you were born in what, the early 90s?
94.
And was MTV still playing music videos in '94?
Well, when I was a little kid, I know that they would play in the early 2000s music videos at the beginning of the day, and then it'd be like Jackass and Beavis and Butthead reruns and Celebrity Rehab and just shit like that.
Yeah, Real World.
Real World. Yeah, it was just kind of stuff like that. And VH1 sometimes would have like pop culture shows and stuff, but yeah, they weren't really like like most of the music videos I've seen were on the internet, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know if MTV does music videos now. I think it's pretty much all just like
No, and I don't think
TV
they do.
shows.
They still have the music video awards every year. I think they still have that, but they don't play music videos. So,
but it's kind of like a lost art. I mean, people still make them, but I don't know. It's like a nice way to make a little short film, or do something interesting. But it's kind of lost now. A lot of people don't do them.
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, before I got MTV, it was a show called Friday Night Videos. And that's what it was. It was Friday nights, and I think it was an hour show. Come on at 7:00, I think. CBS, I think. And they would show the current music videos. And that's how I kind of got introduced to music videos, was through Friday Night Videos. Now, over the years, even before then, artists like David Bowie would shoot music videos way back in early the mid 70s. He was doing music videos, before it became a thing, before it became a popular thing to do. He was making music videos. David Bowie was. He was kind of an innovator for that kind of thing, for showcasing his music through video and things like that. So he did music videos, in the mid 70s. And, and Devo, they were making music videos before MTV and things like that. So there was artists that were making short films and things like that to showcase their music before videos became a cultural phenomenon, like with MTV.
It's funny because if you think of like MTV, like when I was a little kid, you had Jackass and stuff. And now, like, the people that I guess watch MTV now think it's offensive because there's a rapper named Lil Nas X, and he twerked on the devil and made some devil shoes, and everyone was clutching their pearls and stuff. But it's like, if you look at some other music videos back in the day, like Marilyn Manson and shit, he's like praising Satan, and everyone's kind of like, it's like people, I don't know if they got softer now or what.
Well, I mean, I'm going to let you start, but the first video I'm going to bring up certainly gets into that controversial area.
I mean, Marilyn Manson, when I was in junior high, there's people that the teachers didn't like him or whatever, That's how I learned that that's how I learned he took his rib out. I don't know if that's true or not, but they said he took his rib out to blow himself. I learned that because like a lady in the junior high off, and I would have never known that unless you mentioned it, but it's just, I kind of like that it kind of pisses people. I like the ones that kind of piss people off or that tell a story,
Yeah. Well, yeah, Marilyn Manson, I like some of his stuff. I like some of his music. I just kind of thought he was sort of a one joke wonder,
Well, it's interesting you say that because one of the music videos on my list was his version of God's Gonna Cut You Down, which is a cover of a Johnny Cash song. And I thought that he did. It's a shame that he was kind of one of those. I don't think he did it because apparently it all fell apart in court, but he's one of those Me Too people, and he's going to do a cover of country songs with Shooter Jennings, and it all fell apart because of that. And it's kind of a shame because that his version of God's Gonna Cut You Down was pretty good. And I don't know. It's like the way, huh? Go ahead.
He's got a lot of covers. He did, of course, the Sweet Dreams, by the Eurythmics. That was
and it's a shame because like that music video was really well made, shot in black and white, and he took a country song and kind of did his own little thing with it, and it worked. And and I was really hoping that he would have done more stuff, and then all that stuff happened. But it's a real interesting music video of him just kind of being a weirdo and in a cowboy hat and doing that. His version of God's Gonna Cut You Down, and I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. But when you brought that up, I thought, well, am I going to have enough to talk about? And then I started going through the list. I said, shit, we could almost do 2 shows.
You could do a series. You could do a series of them.
We could. Seriously, I came up with so many. I thought, shit. There's so many that I hadn't seen in so long, and you got me going to YouTube and looking up all these different videos that I hadn't seen in so long. It's like, it really brought back memories, and such. But go ahead and kick us off. Kick us off with a video of a memorable video or a favorite video.
Well, one of my favorite ones is the everyone's seen it, but the Dawkins Dream Warriors with Robert Englund and the Freddy makeup and all that stuff to promote the movie. That was pretty badass. And you don't really see that nowadays. They don't really market them too much like that now. Where you kind of have the music video and you have the actors in it promoting the movie and stuff. And it's kind of a fun one. So that was the first one that was on my list.
Well, I'll start with 2 Nine Inch Nails. One 9 Inch Nails video and one 9 Inch Nails song. And the first one, it wasn't until I got on the internet in 1999 that I was finally able to see this video uncut. Because when they played it on MTV and such, and played it on the radio, it was heavily cut. And that's 9 Inch Nails Closer. Now, I remember watching the video, and in the video, they would have moments that would say, scene missing, But if you take like a David Lynch movie, like Eraserhead, and combine it with like an old German expressionistic film, you got a naked woman with spinning an egg on her tip of her finger. You got a monkey strapped to a cross. You got and it was filmed with an old hand cranked camera from like the early 1900s. I researched that, and it was filmed with an old old hand cranked camera. So it's very scratchy and it's creepy. And of course, Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails, he's got with the air blowing his mouth open, and you got naked women, and you got the poor monkey on the cross. I heard the monkey wasn't harmed. The monkey was taken very well taken care of. It looks like it's in misery, this poor monkey on the cross. And of course, I want to fuck you like an animal. And of course, something like that's not going to play on the radio. The song was played on the radio, but it's heavily edited. And of course, the video was heavily edited. Like I say, it was really eye-opening when I was finally able to watch the uncut video on the internet. And it's like, oh shit, it's like I say, it's like a David Lynch movie, crossed with like a German expressionistic film, and it's creepy and weird, but and you talking about a video being more like a short film. That is a prime example of a video that's more like a short film, to convey this very dark, creepy emotions, you know, and just the visuals and everything. But yeah, Nine Inch Nails closer.
Yeah, the next one I had on my list, I don't know if you've seen it, was Deep Purple's music video for Vincent Price, where they're like going through the wax museum and shit,
Oh
and like
yeah,
the exhibits turn into different stuff, and there's a guy playing Vincent Price being like a weirdo and shit, and then there's this girl who dresses like a nun, and she starts stripping and shit for Vincent Price, and then like Vincent Price is all like getting a lap dance and shit, and then she puts a cross in his face, and he's like, and like they melt him and stuff, and it's just a bunch of weird. I like the ones that are kind of like a bunch of weird shit going on, like what the hell is going on, and then he starts to melt and shit, and then, like the Deep Purple band turns into wax figures. Pretty badass.
well, and in the case of like David Bowie and Devo, they would play videos at their concerts
Yeah.
to, like, you know, introduce the band, or like between sets they would play videos that they shot, you know. And so it was, you know, in the early days it was kind of an art form, you know. It was you know, considered more of an art form, or kind of part of their act.
Part of the experience, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, well, the next one I'll bring up is another Nine Inch Nails song, but it's not Nine Inch Nails. It's not Trent Reznor singing it. It's Johnny Cash, "Hurt."
Ooh, that's a good one. That was on my list too.
And I that's another one that I brought back up to watch again. And at the end of "Hurt," I want to cry every time, and it just rips my heart out, because it's poor Johnny Cash was at just like the last like year of his life. He's really old. June Carter's in the video. You know, she's really old. She passed away before he did. You know, but and of course the lyrics of the song. You know, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. And it's a Nine Inch Nails song, a Trent Reznor song. And after he did his version of "Hurt," Trent Reznor says it's his song now. It's not my song anymore. It belongs to Johnny Cash now. He made the song his own with that.
Well, he also changed the lyrics to instead of "I wear this crown of shit, I wear this crown of thorns," and in the video you see Jesus being nailed to the cross and stuff, and that's a real powerful video. It's real sad and shit, and you have the old footage and the new footage. It's a real, yeah, it's kind of a depressing one, but it's really well shot and well made, and it tugs on your emotions.
Yeah, it makes me want to cry, because it's basically Johnny Cash showing the vibrant young singer he used to be to the withered old man he is now, and basically saying, yeah, I know I'm not long for this earth. And that song, you know, just the lyrics of that song conveys that, you know, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel, you know, and oh yeah, it's depressing, heart wrenching, but also, you know, showing Johnny Cash at his, when he was vibrant and just on top of the
To
world,
being old and withered, you know,
old and withered.
and you see his old arthritic hands hitting the. It's like he's not even really. He's playing the piano, but he's just kind of going like dunk, dunk,
Yeah.
dunk. Is there?
And his wife June Carter, and yeah, oh gosh, but yeah, and he made that song. He took the Nine Inch Nails song and made it his own song.
Well, if we're going to talk about Johnny Cash, one that was on my list was Porter Wagner's "Committed to Parkview," which I don't know if you watched that, but I sent you a link to that one, to where it's Porter Wagner, old as fuck, in a mental institution, walking around, talking about all the crazy stuff he sees, like people committing suicide and all kinds of crazy shit. He talks about how like there's a dude who overdosed and like they brought him in, and then there's a little boy who his parents don't want him, so like they just kind of drop him off at the institution.
Well, now is this real?
What?
Is this? I mean, this is the thing about Porter Wagner. Is this actual real?
The music video he made, yeah, he made the music video. He was actually in a mental institution for a while. He kind of had a breakdown, and the song was actually recorded by the Highwaymen, and Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson sang it on the Highwaymen album. But towards the end of his career, he started just, recording, doing covers and stuff. And that was one of the music videos he made. And Marty Stewart's in it. You know him because he has a big old crazy hair and shit.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite deals is during the music video, he's just dressed normal, but towards the end, you see him in the sparkly rhinestone suits he used to wear. And you find out that he's one of the patients because he's like, they take my blood pressure and they ask me how I feel, and I always say, fantastic. There ain't nothing wrong with me. And they give me my injections, and I fall right back to sleep. And it's him walking out in a sparkly rhinestone suit with Marty Stewart and his big old crazy permed hair playing in the yard of the mental institution.
Well, I'll have to look up that link. I guess I missed it that you sent me a link because I want to see that. Because way back in the day, he had a show, the Porter Wagner Show. I used to watch with my parents, and Dolly Parton was on there with him all the time. Kind of in the early days of Dolly Parton, and he kind of introduced Dolly Parton to the world, Porter Wagner. And of course, she became so much more famous than he ever did. But yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, it's a dark video, and then there's one part to where he talks about how there's a girl that's above him who screams out enough to wake the dead. They don't know what she has taken to scramble up her head, and she's like freaking out on drugs and tearing shit up. And he's just an old man walking around, and he said there's a guy they brought in, he attempted suicide, and there's like blood like coming out of his wrist and shit, and they're like the orderlies are like dragging him into a room. And then Porter Wagner's praying and stuff, and at the very end, you find out that he's crazy too.
My goodness. Well.
Yeah, it's a like I said, it tells a story, but at the end, there's a nice little twist on there.
Well, let's see. Let me find on here the list another one that I love the song itself. And how it conveys, what they went through in Vietnam, just fighting a war that they didn't even know what they were fighting for, and risking their lives and just the horrible conditions and everything, and the way they were treated when they got back, from Vietnam. They were just doing, what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to.
You're cutting out, Jay.
I'm cutting out. I'm seeing me okay, but you there? Yeah, you're cutting out. Oh. Okay, we're having internet problems. Hello. Oh gosh. Can you see me, Brandon? Or hear me? Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
you were.
Are you back?
You're working fine now. It's going fine now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, I wasn't seeing. Oh no. Good old internet. Having internet problems. Okay, so and I lost it. Yep, good old internet. Modern technology. Well, that's a shame. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back. And if I see here that we got 3 people watching. I hope you've enjoyed our show so far, and we'll continue to watch. But hopefully, Brandon's going to be able to come back because he said I was cutting out, but I think maybe he was having the issues. But Uh, so, are we still here? I'm seeing me on there, but hang on. Let me see if I can contact him. All right. Okay, hang on. All right. Okay. Are you back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything's good. You were
Okay.
saying that your video was about some guy in Vietnam. He went through some shit and came
Well,
back. And
it's Alice in Chains Rooster. And it's a great song. And, he found a way to kill me yet. Eyes burned with stinging sweat. Sing it seems every path leads me to nowhere. They come to snuff the rooster. And what is basically about a Vietnam vet, about his experience in Vietnam. Rooster, Alice in Chains. Great video. It's got, it's got footage of Vietnam vets on it. And just the video itself is really good and really conveys that feeling of fighting in this war, that really not knowing why you were there, what you were fighting for, and just the conditions and everything. And just, yeah. But anyway, that's what I was bringing up. Alice in Chains,
yeah,
Rooster.
my next one was "Standing in My Way" by Charlie Pride, and it's one of the last. I don't know if he made too many music videos, but it's towards the end of his career, and he's talking about how I'm always stand. It's basically the moral of the song is he's standing in his own way. He's his own worst enemy, and he's sitting. He's watching one of those old film projectors, and it's showing old stuff, and it's in a way it kind of reminds you of the Hurt video a little bit, but basically like he's old as shit. He made a lot of mistakes in his life, not being, with his family a lot, being on the road, and you know, and he says like sometimes hard way is my way, I guess. I say no when I mean yes type shit. So he's old. It's just basically just him kind of realizing that he kind of maybe fucked up in life, and he's just kind of dealing with some of the consequences, I guess. But it tells a really good story. I like the song. I like the way it's shot. I'm a big Charlie Pride fan, so I thought that was one that maybe a lot of people didn't know about that they might want to check out. And I really like the lyric where he says, "I'm always there wherever I am, there between the what I'm reaching for and the fingers on my hand." It's a really good song lyrics, and Charlie Pride. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's because his voice or what, but he does a good job when it comes to like sympathy and like just sounding sad.
Yeah.
So I put that one on there.
Well,
But it's a depressing video. I mean, it's sad as fuck to watch, but
you're naming something I'm going to have to look up and watch. I don't know if I've seen that, but
yeah, a lot of those guys, like a lot of the older guys that were country singers, like Johnny Cash got fired, I think, from CBS Records, and Charlie Pride was another one because they were firing a lot of the old country stars to bring in guys like Tim McGraw and Dwight Yoakam and Toby Keith and a lot more, I guess, younger, hip type people. So it's kind of sad, but it's if you look at those guys' careers for the end of their careers, they did some pretty interesting stuff. I think Merle Haggard was one to where he wanted to do a music video called Kern River, and he liked the song, and the guy who fired Johnny Cash told him that he thought the song was stupid, and he told the dude, well, I think you're stupid because you fired Johnny Cash, and it almost ended Merle Haggard's career. So there's there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff with a lot of the dudes who kind of went away and the new guys who came in, And I love Toby Keith because one of his songs is on my list too, but I don't know. They kind of did a lot of the legends kind of shitty,
Well, my next one, it's basically a short horror movie. There's a electronic composer that went by the name Aphex Twin. Aphex Twin. Aphex Twin. I may be mispronouncing, maybe Aphex. I think it's Aphex. Aphex Twin. And the song is "Come to Daddy." And you go to YouTube, Brandon. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and look up "Come to Daddy." Aphex Twin.
Hell yeah.
Watch the shit, and you will not sleep tonight after you see it. It is the creepiest motherfucking thing that was ever made or ever committed to film. Oh my God. You get these little kids, but they've got a grown man's face. You know, they all look the same. And what it is, it's the composer. I forget what his name, the actual man that composes the music. He goes by Aphex Twin. But it's got his face on these little kids' face, you know. It looks like him. And they're running around, and you got this television, and you got an extreme close up of this monstrous face going, "Come to Daddy, come to Daddy," and these kids are running around with this grown man's face on their faces, and then you see this old woman, and you see this body start to form out of the floor. This like heaping mass of flesh is like bubbling up, and it becomes this real scrawny looking man, you know, that's screaming at her, "Ah!" You know, he's bald like me, and he's real scrawny and skinny, but he like mutates, you know, out of the floor and becomes this, you know, kind of human creature. And oh my God, it's the creepiest thing ever.
I have to check that out. That sounds badass.
Come to Daddy, though. And he did another one called Rubber Johnny that's almost as creepy by the same composer, Aphex Twin. But yeah, look up Come to Daddy. And when you see that shit, you're going to say, oh my God, that's it's a horror movie. Basically, it's a like, you know, 5-minute horror movie. And it's oh God, it's one of the creepiest things ever filmed. Just period.
Before I get into more of the dark stuff, one of my favorite music videos is Dwight Yoakam's "Turn It On, Turn Me Up, Turn Me Loose," to where he's trying to fix his car, and then this like mentally retarded guy shows up on a bike, and for some reason messes up Dwight Yoakam's car. So Dwight Yoakam pulls out a pistol and like shoots at him. And it's really weird. Like it's all in black and white and shit. And he's all like, boom, boom, and he's shooting at him. And then Dwight Yoakam runs to this bar and he starts like kicking his boot on the door. And they let him in, and it's like a strip club with dominatrix, like cowgirl women, like on these weird like saddles hanging from the ceiling. And then there's these weird like guys in lederhosen, like Oktoberfest, like dancing. It's a bunch of weird shit. And then Dwight Yoakam's like, "Turn me on, turn me up, turn me loose." And there's like all these like hot ladies with whips and shit, and weird Germans and lederhosen dancing, and this weird shit.
That's another one I'm gonna have to look up. I don't think I've seen
It's the weirdest thing, because at first you think he's just chilling at this strip club after shooting at this retarded guy who messed up his car, but then it starts like playing like weird like music, and then like the people in the lederhosen are like doing a weird German dance, and then it's just like it's weird. It's hard to explain. You have to see it. It's like one of those A24 movies or something. I don't know. It's weird. And then he's all like, yeah, it's crazy. It's just, I guess he had hard times, so he had to go to the weird dominatrix bar that had the Germans dancing in lederhosen and shit.
Oh gosh,
yeah. That crazy guy. He shows up in a lot of Dwight Yoakam videos.
I'll have to look up your stuff, but yeah. Come to Daddy. Look up Come to Daddy, because I want to hear what you have to say about Come to Daddy when you see it.
Yeah.
But okay, well, Sinead O'Connor was once really popular, but she fucked everything up when she tore the picture of the Pope on
She
Saturday
shaved her head, right?
shaved. Well, yeah, she had a shaved head, like me. She had a shaved head, and she tore up the picture of the Pope at the end of a song she sang on Saturday Night Live, and that pretty much screwed up her career after that. She was kind of trying to make a point about, kids being molested or something like that by I don't know what her point was, but she tore up the picture of the Pope, and so yeah, that screwed up her career.
Yeah.
But her version of "Nothing Compares to You." That's another one I can watch. It makes me want to cry at the end of it. I just, and she cries, because she's got a close up of her. She's singing the song. You see a tear go down her cheek. And the song is so pretty, and her version of it is so pretty. It's a Prince wrote it. But yeah, Nothing Compares to You. And it's mainly just her just sort of standing and singing. You see her sort of walking over like a little, a park or something like that. But most of it is just her just singing the song, in front of the camera. And it's really pretty. I love her voice, the sound of her voice, the way she sang. I loved it. There's a lot of other songs by her I like, but yeah, she screwed up her career.
I just don't, speaking of screwing up careers, one of the people on my list was the Dixie Chicks, and they talked shit about George W. Bush and the war in Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it'll be a good transition to. Have you ever seen the music video "Goodbye Earl"?
I think I have seen that.
To where like the guy Earl is beating the shit out of his wife, so she decides to poison him with some black eyed peas, and then like he dies. And it's like, and then we had to decide Earl had to die. Nah, 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 nah. Goodbye, Earl. And then he becomes a zombie at the end of the music video, starts dancing like Michael Jackson's Thriller. Was then poisoning Earl for beating the shit out of her, and then at the end he's like a zombie and he's dancing and shit. Yeah, but I don't agree with that. I think people should speak their opinions, If they thought George W. Bush sucked, they should have been able to stay on the radio.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Toby Keith was behind them getting banned, and that's one thing he can go fuck himself. Well, he's dead now, but he could have fucked himself about on that. I mean, even with her ripping up a picture of the Pope, that's her opinion. He should have the freedom of speech to say that shit. But yeah, Goodbye Earl, that shit was hilarious. And my favorite part of the song is like, have some black eyed peas, they taste good to me, or but it's a fun video. I like it. It's stupid, but it's fun.
Well, you brought up Thriller. I mean, that might be the most famous music video ever made.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
And John Landis directed. Rick Baker did the makeup. Of course, it's Michael Jackson. And I remember when it premiered, because I'm old as shit. I'll keep bringing up my age. And I remember watching TV, and they showed it on prime time, like about 7:00. The world premiere, the Michael Jackson's Thriller, and watching this video. He turns into a werewolf at one point. And
the girl he's with actually posed for Playboy. So if you want to see her naked, you can see those stuff. You can see the goods.
And then he turns into like a zombie. And of course, there's that dance, then him and all these other, zombies dancing. And probably, as far as a music video, as far as being popular, that's probably like the number one music video.
Yeah, it's one of the most iconic too, and just the red suit, like the little red jumpsuit he's wearing, and it's just perfect. And then at the very end, he turns his head, and his eyes are like cat eyes, and he's like,
yeah. And with the Vincent Price laugh.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, man. That's a good one. Have you seen his music video, Ghost? It's another kind of spooky one.
I think so. I think I've seen most of the Michael Jackson videos. There's several of them that I like.
John Landis directed that one too. It's kind of like where they go to Michael Jackson's castle and they're trying to run him out of town for being weird and stuff. And Michael Jackson is all like, he plays like, I'm trying to think of, I forgot the guy's name, but the prosecutor who was against Michael Jackson during the trial, Michael Jackson had like prosthetic makeup put on and a fat suit to look like that guy. So that guy is like the leader of the mob that's trying to run him out of town. So like Michael Jackson plays dual parts, and like he turns into like a skeleton and he starts moonwalking, like he rips out of his skin, and it's real crazy. It's not as good as a Thriller video, but it's a fun one to watch and it's real interesting.
And you say John Landis directed that one too?
John Landis directed that one too. And at the end of the music video, it has the credits, and you see Michael Jackson having the shit glued onto him and stuff.
Yeah, there's several videos by Michael Jackson I like. Smooth Criminal, I really like that one.
I like Black and White. That was a good one. I think John Landis directed, I think, most of those, right? And then Beat It was another good one.
And what was it? Bad? I think, didn't Martin Scorsese direct Bad?
I think he did. And then, of course, you had the Weird Al parodies like Eat It and Fat. I'm fat.
But yeah, there's several Michael Jackson videos that I like. Well, here's one that turned me on to the Talking Heads. I became a big fan of the Talking Heads, the group. But it's Once in a Lifetime. And the picture I used for our show here, you've got David Byrne, you've got a shot from that, from Once in a Lifetime. And it's just David Byrne being very quirky, almost performance art, I guess you would term his kind of music. Or, you know, because he wrote most of the music and was the lead singer, of course, of Talking Heads. And also I tell people, you know, look up the music documentary, Stop Making Sense, that Jonathan Demme directed. Man, that's really good, with the Talking Heads. But yeah, Once in a Lifetime. It's David Byrne being very quirky, his kind of hip thrust, doing the thing with his hands, doing this bit here, but I love the song, you know. But yeah, that video turned me on to the Talking Heads, and it's kind of an iconic video, you know. That once you see it, it's like it brings back memories of, you know, of seeing that, you know, back in the day. At least for me, it does. That video for Once in a Lifetime. But yeah. And there's several videos about Talking Heads I like, but that's my favorite, is Once in a Lifetime.
My next one was Wild Irish Rose by George Jones. It's kind of similar to the last music video you talked about with the Vietnam vet. They sent him off to war and he goes to a mental institution, but they cut the funding, so he becomes homeless. And it's him being a homeless man on the street. No one gives a shit about him. And it's he lies there holding his wild Irish rose, but his soul's in a place that a real hero goes. And at the end of the song, he dies. And you see like the homeless dude dead, but then it's like a army dude. And like Wild Irish Rose is like this real cheap wine that like the homeless people drink. So it's pretty much just his life as a homeless person, like kind of going through life, being drunk in the street and putting up with a bunch of bullshit. Then he dies. And hearing George Jones sing, you know, George Jones can do a good job of just sounding sad and shit, you know.
Well, of course, the saddest song ever recorded is He Stopped Loving Her Today.
Yeah, but he sings that. I mean, this one's really good. He talks about how like he has a picture of his daughter in his wallet, and it's all forgotten in time, all lost in a river of wine. So like the dude basically, I think the one part of the song they talk about, they cut off the funding, they cut off the lights, they kicked him out on a cold winter night. Now the streets are the only place he can call home. He feels so lonely, but he's never alone because he's holding his wild Irish rose.
I've heard the song. I don't think I've seen the video, but I've heard the song.
It's a real powerful video, and it's another one of those, not to sound repetitive, but a lot of the older legends of country were getting kicked out when they were doing really impactful stuff to get replaced by, I like it, I love it, I want some more of it, type stuff. And it's a shame. And I kind of feel like country lost its way because now country is basically just soft rock with a southern voice pretty much now. And they used to tell stories and kind of like the Luke the Drifter albums and stuff like that. Now it's just kind of like, I'm in the cornfield with the girl in a sundress, drinking beer, doodly doo, and it's just, country lost its way,
Yeah.
It's sad.
Let's see. Okay, well, here's another iconic video that when the early days of MTV became so popular, and just what it took to make this video. To talk about video as an art form, and that's Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer.
Oh, I love that one. That's a crazy one.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is stop motion. And Peter Gabriel, had to actually, this was before CGI, so there ain't no CGI shit. It's Peter Gabriel just sitting there for like hours and hours and hours on end while these claymation, characters around his face, and it was I think the guy that does the Wallace and Gromit stuff, I think he did the animation in that.
And it like smashes his head, and then there's these weird like raw chickens going like.
Yeah, you got the chickens dancing. Yeah, the chicken, the raw chickens dancing. But yeah, it's a fun video, and just video as an art form. What it took to make that video, was just hours and hours and hours.
They must have the patience of a saint, because I know that stop motion shit takes forever in 3 days. So
yeah, it's just frame at a time shit, and and Peter Gabriel. But I'm a big fan of Peter Gabriel anyway. There's a lot of his songs.
Well, I think I like the Book of Love by him the most, but like he has a real good voice. I like his music too.
Yeah.
The next one on my list is actually a Johnny Cash one called Deal's Gone. And after he got fired by CBS, Rick Rubenstein, who's a rap producer, produced the song and made the music video with them. And it's basically, Delia, oh Delia, Delia, all my life. If I wouldn't have shot poor Delia, I would have had her for my wife. And he ties her to a chair and he shoots her, and then it's him burying the body. And it got him kicked off of CMT for that too, because the violence and shit. So they wouldn't air it on CMT, but it played on MTV and the other music stations. But it's a real dark video because she's tied to a chair and he's shooting her and shit. And he's driving in his car and he's digging a hole and burying her. And then my favorite part is he's like, she was low down and trifling. She was cold and mean. She was the kind of evil make me want to grab a submachine. But now she's gone. He was gone.
I like that song. I don't know if I've seen that video, but I like that song.
Yeah, he recorded it originally in the 60s, but he did a re-recording of it, and they made a music video out of it. And he talks about, like, first time I shot her in her side. It was hard to watch her suffer, but with the second shot, she died. This is crazy. He's sitting there holding her body, and Beavis and Butthead actually reacted to it on an episode of Beavis and Butthead. And so it's kind of cool.
Well, speaking of dead bodies, I love the artist. I love his music. Let's bring up Tom Petty's Mary Jane's Last Dance. With Kim Basinger as a dead woman. And he's got Tom Petty going into a morgue, and he dresses up like a morgue attendant, puts on the clothes, to hide. And you see him wheeling out a dead body, You know, you see her feet, see her toe, you see the tag on her toe. You know, you don't see the body yet, you just see the feet. He wheels her out, and he takes the body back to his house, and he's dancing with her. And of course, her feet are dragging the floor. He's dancing with this dead body. But it's Kim Basinger, you know, the actress Kim Basinger, playing this dead woman. But and it's the song Mary Jane's Last Dance. Last dance for Mary Jane, one more time to ease the pain. Now, really, the song is about marijuana, but it's taken more literal in the video that it's an actual person, Mary Jane. You know, the song is about pot. What it's about, you know, Mary Jane is pot.
Well, speaking of drug ones, I really loved Amy Winehouse's rehab video. And I know she like died due to, you know, substances and stuff, but that's just a fun music video. It's like they try to make me go to rehab, and I said no. And she's all strung out on drugs and shit. And I think in the video it's more about drinking, but I don't know, when you listen to the lyrics, it sounds more like she's on dope or something. But it's her, and like the people are in her apartment in like bathrobes and shit, like playing their instruments and stuff. And it's just a fun song. I like it. You know, it's just a fun kind of quirky thing. And it's kind of fucked up to think about it now that she's dead. But you know, Rehab was a fun one, and I just know I just kind of like that one. Yeah, it's a fun song.
Well, you speaking that's talking about fun song, I'll bring up one. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister.
Oh yeah, with the weird dad that's always like, "What are you gonna do with your life?"
It's stupid, it's silly, but it's fun, stupid and silly. You know, and of course it's Twisted Sister. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. And it's a fun video. Yeah, it's stupid, it's silly, but it's fun.
You know, I always liked Twisted Sister's videos. Your dad was like, "What are you gonna do with your life? What is that?" Like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
There's a lot of videos that are basically they're not like you said, like little short films or anything. They're just fun. A lot of the Van Halen, you know, like Van Halen's like Hot for Teacher.
Yeah.
You know, the early Van Halen stuff. They're just fun videos, you know.
Well, speaking of fun videos, one of my favorite ones was WWF had an album called Sledgehammer, and it's like the wrestlers like Hulk Hogan and them are all construction workers, and it's called Pal Driver. Or no, the album was called Pal Driver. And anyways, they're over there working and stuff, and they're catcalling the women coming by, and it's like, "Love is like a pal driver," and Hulk Hogan and them were being perverts, like looking at the women's asses and shit. And then they're not doing their jobs and stuff, and they end up like pushing a porta potty over with someone in it or some shit. It's just stupid as fuck, but I love it, you know. And it's just one of those things where I don't think you could do that now, but like having the wrestlers cat calling the women walking by was hilarious. And you know, Billy Jack Haynes sees this one girl with a big ass, and he like squeezes an apple and it busts. And it's just funny. Yeah, I don't know. I just like stuff like that, man. It's good shit. But that's kind of a stupid one, but you know.
There's several videos that she's weird as hell. And if there's anyone that's like a prime example that there's aliens that are living on Earth, it would be Bjork. The woman is from another planet, Bjork. But I like a lot of her music. I like her voice. And I like a lot of her music videos. There's one called All Is Full of Love. And it's really, technically really good. You get two female robots that basically make love.
Hell yeah.
And yeah. And All Is Full of Love. And it's a really nice, great, I love her voice in that video and in the song. But yeah, it's really technically really good. You get these two android robots, they're female robots, and they start making out and kissing and making out. Um, but the Bjork video that I keep coming back to is got some of the worst CGI ever made. It looks like a Commodore 64 made it. I mean, it's the worst. It's the worst computer animation ever. But it's The Hunter, and it's just her, and she's bald in this video. She's got a shaved head. I don't know if it was done digitally or if she probably did shave her head because she's such a weirdo. She probably did shave her head. She's bald headed in this video, but as she sings the song, she starts to morph and turn into like a bear or something. She starts to turn into like another creature. But it's terrible CGI. It's so bad. I mean, it looks like something a kid did, with his like home computer. But I really like the song. And when I made my movie Dawn, I named the vampires in my movie Venator, which in like a Latin or something means hunter. And I always think of Bjork's video for that music video for The Hunter. I'm going hunting. I'm the hunter. And she starts morphing into like, I guess it's supposed to be a bear, but it's so bad. The CGI is so bad. It's hard to tell what she's supposed to be.
If memory serves, I thought it was like a wolf or something. I guess it could be a bear.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like I say, it's so bad. But I love the video. I love the song. And I love her voice. And I love Bjork because she's such an oddball. She literally looks like she's from another planet. And I love a lot of her music. And I like a lot of her music videos too. She's really creative with her music videos.
Well, the one on my list that's next is anyone who knows me knows I love the classic horror stuff like the Silent Era and the Universal Monsters. And when Rob Zombie did Living Dead Girl, he basically did a remake of The Cabinet of Caligari. And it was just a real cool video because he did a good job of duplicating the little film or whatever. And, seeing, instead of being a dude, it's Sherry Moon Zombie being the Living Dead Girl. And it's pretty cool. I liked it, And I like Rob Zombie's music. I know that, it's kind of an unpopular opinion nowadays, but I think I like his voice and I like the weird visuals and I like the Caligari references.
His first couple of albums I really liked, and of course, Dragula and.
Yeah, but like I said, Living Dead Girl, it goes back to the Dr. Caligari stuff, and I think he did a real good job. I like the German expressionist still of him running up the weird, odd stairs and how the windows are tilted and weird looking. It's real interesting stuff, and I like how he just has, he really respects a lot of the classic horror and sci-fi shit. So
yeah.
So that was my next one.
Well, this one, here's another one that's fun, and a lot of the Missy Elliott songs. I like Missy Elliott, but it's was it The Rain? I can't stand the rain against my window. And she's in this inflated, like, black suit that's, like, inflated. But anyway, yeah. The Rain by Missy Elliott. That video is so funny with her in that inflated suit. Her music's a lot of fun, Missy Elliott. And
if we're going to talk about The Rain, you want to talk about the music video? It's raining. with those fat black ladies and then like the guys coming down with umbrellas when it's raining and shit.
Co-written by Paul Schaefer. That song, It's Raining Men, was co-written by Paul Schaefer of the David Letterman show and Saturday Night Live, the old Saturday Night Live. Paul Schaefer, yeah, he co-wrote that.
That's a funny music video. Yeah, I don't know. That's just one that's kind of dumb and silly, but it's fun just to have fun with shit. It doesn't make sense. It's weird.
Well,
But I like that one.
another one that is kind of like a short film and has some very creepy images. It's really creative, and that's Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, with the
yeah,
weird faces and shit.
and yeah, really creepy. Um, and it's got sort of a German expressionistic kind of feel to it in some ways too. Um, but I love the song. I'm a big fan of Soundgarden. Anyway, I like Soundgarden. Big fan of Soundgarden. But yeah, that video it's kind of like a little short film. You know, Black Hole Sun.
It's just really weird, and like they have the weird faces and they're smiling and grinning and weird shit's happening. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good one. That's a good choice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just Soundgarden. I don't know. It's like grunge. I don't know. It's not really my thing, but I do respect it, like music wise. You know, like I'm not a Nirvana fan, but I'll be like, yeah, they have talent. It's just not for
I
me.
don't know. I mean, for me, I never saw Soundgarden as being really grungy. I just thinking it was just hard rock to me.
I always
And
lumped them in with like Nirvana and stuff. I
yeah,
don't know.
to me they don't sound like to me they don't sound at all like Nirvana. They just sound like a really hard rock band to me, uh, and really good guitar work. And yeah, I never really lumped them in with grunge, even though that was during that time period that they were popular. And Alice in Chains is another one that lumps in with the grunge music that I don't really see Alice in Chains as being really a grunge group. Um, just a really good rock group. Just
Yeah.
but yeah, Black
My
Hole Sun.
my next one was men at work, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Jive, or Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. I don't know if you ever seen that one.
I definitely have heard the song.
Yeah, but it's like the weird nerdy dude, like the guy who played the flute or whatever. He's like a nerd and he drinks the potion. He turns into Mr. Jive and he's all handsome and all the women likes him. But then the potion wears off. He has to drink it again to look all nice and stuff. And people in the video steal it from him and they drink it because they think it's like alcohol or something. They turn into like potted plants and shit. Yeah, that's a fun one. And what's weird is like during the music video, Colin Hay, who's the lead singer, it's like he's a Boy Scout leader, and all the other bandmates are like Boy Scouts. So he's telling the story to them, and I guess like what you see is him telling the story, and then at the very end, he rips off his mustache, and it's like a fake mustache. It's like really weird. It's like I like the weird shit, you know. I like that one, and I like the Who Can It Be Now, where he's like in his apartment by himself, and all the weird people are knocking on the door. He has aliens and guys in drag and all kinds of shit just like knocking on his door. You know, that's a good one too. So I'm a big Men at Work fan. I like their music.
I do too. You know, because what Down Under, and was it Pika 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 Pika
I like
Johnny?
I like It's a Mistake too with them as
It's a
soldiers.
mistake. Yeah, I love that song. I love the song. Yeah, it's a mistake.
And then during the music video, like he's nervous and he's like twitching his fingers and he flips the plastic up over the button and he's smoking a cigar and he misses the ashtray and he hits the button which shoots a nuke and like bombs another country. That was a pretty good one too. Yeah.
I did an earlier show with Kathy showing vinyl albums, and one of them being that first Men at Work album. But okay, well, let's talk about this one that's got a twist ending, and it's another one that's kind of like a little short film. Controversial at the time because of the title of the song, "Smack My Bitch Up," yeah, by Prodigy. And what it is, it's shot point of view style, where you get what looks like it's a guy goes into a bar, he gets into a fight with people at a bar, gets thrown out of the bar, and throws up and runs into the toilet, throws up the toilet, then gets into more fights. But anyway, the twist ending is when you see the guy going, he goes back to his, I guess, it's his motel, hotel room and sits on a bed, and you see him look in a mirror, and then you see the mirror shot, and you see it in the dude. It's a girl, and that's the big twist ending. You think it's a dude all this time, getting into fights at a bar and all that, throwing up the toilet and all that, and you find out at the end it's a girl.
Is it a girl, or is it someone who like thinks they're trans or something,
I don't
or
think it's
might be
trans.
trans?
I think it's actually a girl because I think she's topless. You see her boobs, So
Yeah, the person could be seeing themselves in the mirror like that. I don't
it
know.
could that could I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that could be
Because
that.
I've seen some paintings that artists have, at art exhibits and stuff, to where it's like, so it's like someone looking in the mirror and they see them. But yeah, I mean that could be one way of looking at it. I don't know.
But anyway, I like the song too. I still listen to an old style MP3 player, and that's on there. Smack my bitch up. I like this.
Act my bitch.
Crank my bitch up. Because that's all it is just this voice. Crank my bitch up, smack my bitch up. And that's just, it just repeats over and over, and it's a real kind of, what kind of, the electronic music, that kind
Yeah.
of pulsing kind of club music, smack my bitch up. But of course, at the time, it was pretty controversial just because of the title of the song, smack my bitch up.
Well, my next one was Nikita by Elton John, to where he sees this woman who's like this Russian military general. So he's kind of being a weirdo, like he's spying on her with binoculars and shit, and I guess trying to win her over. And it's a I don't know if you ever seen the music video, but he's out there and he makes a big heart in the snow, which that would never happen in real life. His ass would be in the gulag if that happened. But he's over there watching her with binoculars, and I guess in his free time he took pictures of her because he's sitting there with the projector, like the DUC from Red Dragon, and he's like just going through pictures of her. Yeah, it's just a good one. I like that one. I'm assuming it's all in his character's head because I don't think he ever gets with her or whatever, because like she's behind a fence with all those soldiers and stuff. But yeah, it's a fun one. I like that one. It's kind of cute. It's a cute little music video.
Well, I'm just about run out of my list here. I got one more. And like I say, Devo, they started in like the mid 70s, and when they premiered on Saturday Night Live is when they kind of became popular with their first album. Are We Not Men? We Are Devo, and sang a cover of the Rolling Stones' "Satisfaction," and their version of that is very, very, very different. Their version of "Satisfaction" by the Rolling Stones. They sang that on Saturday Night Live, and that was like, I became a huge fan of Devo. The moment I saw when they were on Saturday Night Live, good Lord, 1980? I think that's when it was. Or might have been earlier than that. I don't know. But anyway, there's several of their music videos that I really like. But the one I'm going to pick is Beautiful World. And, it's a beautiful world we live in, a sweet romantic place, beautiful people everywhere. The way they show they care makes me want to say, it's a beautiful world. And as they're singing the song, you see these old black and white images of like, like women dancing, like a, hula girl dancing and people swimming and things like that. And then as the song progresses, it becomes, you see a nuclear bomb go off, and you see a cartoon of a guy with, fallout disease, he's got sores on his face from nuclear fallout, things like that. So it becomes more dark as the song progresses, And the last lyrics of the song is, it's a beautiful world, but it's not for me,
Yeah, that's powerful.
And but it's a really good. You need to look that up and watch that video. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch Beautiful World.
Sounds like it'd be up my alley. My next one was Stand by Eminem. To where I don't know if you ever heard that song or seen the video,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's an obsessed fan that's obsessed with him. He's like, I know you got my letters. I wrote the address on it. Perfect. It just made me laugh. And then he ties his girlfriend up in the trunk and drives them all into a river. And at the end of the music video, Eminem's like, I saw this shit on the news that made me sick. Some guy got his pregnant girlfriend in a car. They drove him into the river. Wait a minute. His name was you. And I actually like.
There's several Eminem videos I like.
Yeah, and I like that one, but I think I like the music video, but I like him and Elton John singing the song better. I think they did that at the Grammys because Stan's a dude instead of it being a woman. So Elton John playing, I guess, the part of Stan or whatever, I think worked a little better for me. But, it was still fun. Or Eminem did Stan, but I don't know. I think since it's a guy and a guy, it kind of worked better with two male artists. But, I like the music video a lot. And I think the dude in the music video who played Stan was in Final Destination and stuff too. So, yeah, it's kind of a dark one. But I always remember that. I wrote the addresses on it. Perfect. That was funny. And he drives them into the river and just. That's a good one.
Well, and like say, recent. The only ones I've seen are these two from Lady Gaga. One's called Abracadabra. I like the video. I like the song. And I forget what the other one is called.
Is Abracadabra a cover of the old song, or is that like a different song?
No, it's a new song, but you might look it up. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I like the song. And,
I used to have a big crush on her when I was in junior high, but it's been a while since I listened to her music. But yeah, I like her stuff.
Yeah. And I haven't really, that's one I haven't, I'm sure I've heard some of her songs before, but never really listened to her. But when Miss A here played Lady Gaga, and I said, well, I kind of like that, from her new album. So I actually had her play the whole album. And so I'll be damned. I like several of these songs. I actually looked up the videos, that ones that she made of them. Enjoyed them. So there's so few new music or so little new music that I even listen to. So I'll admit that. I don't even really listen to new music, hardly. So that saying that I don't like new music is really the main reason is I don't really listen to much new music. Most of the music I listen to is old stuff from the 70s and 80s and 60s.
Yeah.
And some of the 90s, you mentioned grunge, I like some of that stuff. I like Nirvana. I really like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. What is it? What was it? Pumpkins? What do you call it?
Smashing Pumpkins?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, you know the guy who's the lead singer for the Smashing Pumpkins owns the National Wrestling Alliance? He's a wrestling promoter.
I didn't know that. The bald-headed guy?
Yeah. God, what's his name? I forgot his name, but yeah. I was like, that looks like the guy from the Smash. Billy Corgan. Yeah, he's a owner of the NWA, and he promotes wrestling matches now.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
But, well, that's, I thought, man, there's 2 hours. I had 2 hours easily there when I looked at my list, but I got the list.
I got some that I can go over too. There's a band called the Beast of Bourbon, and they did a cover of an old country western song called "Psycho" by Eddie Nowak. Which, if you ain't seen the vinyl cover for "Psycho," it's awesome because it's Eddie Nowak with the axe, and he has a guitar on his back, but he's walking to the Norman Bates house. And it's basically like his version of "Psycho." And so, like, when the Beast of Bourbon did it, instead of doing like a country western song, they kind of made it like a 50s rock song, kind of. And you see the lead singer singing in the band, but in the background, you see all the weird shit happening in the house. Like, I guess the dude who's like Norman is chopping up the mom or whatever with an axe. And there's some real dark lyrics in it, too. Like, he says, You remember that girl named Betty Clark? Don't tell me she's dead, Mama. I just saw her in the park. We were sitting at a bench thinking of a game to play, but I was holding the wrench and my mind just walked away. So I'm guessing he killed a little kid. And then he talks about how he saw his ex at a dance at Miller's store. He was with that Jackie White Mama, but I killed them both and I buried them under Jenkins Sycamore. You think I'm Psycho Mama? Why don't you buy me a cup? You think I'm Psycho Mama? Maybe I should be locked up. And then at the end of the song, he's like, Mama, why don't you talk to me? Why aren't you talking to me, Mama? Get up. And you know you ain't talking to her because she's dead. But I sent the country version to Rambo Raft to review one time. It was kind of funny seeing his reaction. But there's a lot of old country western songs about murder that a lot of guys in the 90s kind of did like rock versions of, or like modern country versions of as well. Like there's one called Dolores it was another Eddie Nowak song about he tells the girl to stay in the house because there's a killer on the loose, but she ends up getting murdered. And he says, when they called me to identify the body, I knew it was you. So I guess he was the killer the whole time. But John Falvo, he did a cover of it. And during the music video, it's him and these guys. They're dressed like cowboys playing. But every time he talks about the killer, it's like he has a black stocking on his head. And he talks about there's a killer in the neighborhood, Dolores, a man who sees a girl and goes berserk. And you're just the kind of woman that he preys on. And my mind stays so obsessed, it's hard to work. But it turns out that he's the killer, and he told the lady to stay in the house, and she didn't listen, so he killed her.
And what's the title of the song again?
Dolores.
Dolores.
But Eddie Nowak was the original singer of Dolores. It's weird because like Eddie Nowak was one of those guys. He's kind of like a Hank Williams type dude, but he sang about murdering people. So imagine Hank Williams singing about murdering people, and a lot of guys in the 90s and early 2000s covered some of his stuff. So Dolores, Eddie Nowak.
You kind of get a little sidetracked here. You bringing up Hank Williams because, and this is something that Kathy has talked about in an earlier show I did with her, is my parents grew up in East Texas, and close to Tyler, and such. And there used to be a concert that would pass through East Texas called the Louisiana Hayride. And Hank Williams would sing. I think Johnny Cash, Elvis, I think, sang a few times. But my parents would go often. They would go to this concert, Louisiana Hayride. And they'd see Hank Williams sing. He was always drunk. Always drunk.
Yeah, he had a rough life.
But anyway, my mother worked at a little restaurant that when Louisiana Hayride would come through, they would stop and eat at this restaurant my mother worked at. She was a waitress. And so my mother waited several times on Hank Williams. And the way I understood it is the backup players and the musicians and stuff would come in and eat, and Hank Williams would be passed out in the car, and eventually they'd have to go and get him and wake him up to come in and eat, because he'd be all passed out drunk. And my mother, served him several times, served Hank Williams.
Well,
and,
I think it'd be interesting if someone would make music videos of old songs, because Hank Williams had some really good ones. Like, I like Be Careful of Stones You Throw. I don't know if you ever heard that song, to where it's basically he's working in the garden and his neighbor talks shit about this girl who's like a drunk or whatever, and they talk bad and how she should leave the neighborhood. And then there's a car wreck, and it turns out that the drunk girl saves the lady's kid from getting hit by a car. And so the whole moral of the story is be careful of the stones you throw. And then, of course, I like Men with Broken Hearts, too. That was a good from the Luke the Drifter albums. But if you had someone who had the budget and stuff, you can make, like, little short films out of those, or little music videos.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame because he made some really good music that had a good meaning to it. but everyone remembers him as the tear in my beer guy, which is kind of a shame because a lot of his stuff is pretty good. You know, it has a good moral message to it. But everyone thinks of like, there's a tear in my beer, doodly doo. But he made, I don't know, like Men with Broken Hearts is a good one, and I Judged a Man Today is another one, and just a lot of Luke the Drifter stuff is really good. But everyone thinks of him as like, there's a tear in my beer and jambalaya and crawfish pie and all that stuff, and it's like, yeah, he was more than that, you know.
Why don't
Granted,
you love me like you used to do?
but granted, he had his demons. And that's another thing is they made a movie called I Saw the Light, but they kind of sugarcoated his life a lot. And it's like, if you're going to make a biopic, you need to be honest. I mean, yeah, the guy was addicted to morphine and drank like a fish. You know, you might as well kind of.
He died like in the back of a car, didn't he?
He died at 29 in the back of a Cadillac, I think.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't laugh, but I was listening to I don't agree with the guy's politics, but there's a dude named Jordan Peterson. And he's talking about Hank Williams. He's like, the man was 29, and granted, Jordan Peterson sounds like Kermit the Frog. So it's like, imagine, it sounds like he's 79, but he's 29 or whatever. And it just made me laugh because it's true. Because I always thought Hank Williams was an old fart, but it turns out he died when he was 29, but he had that old voice. You know? Too Many Pills would be another one that'd be a good. That's an Archie Blue song, but that'd be one that'd be a good turn into a music video or something. You know, Archie Blue, he did. If you ever watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you hear his music on the radio. It's the old country song. You know, the misty, misty hours of daylight.
Huh.
Yeah, he made a song called Too Many Pills about Hank Williams, and it's like, too many girls, too many parties, and too many pills.
Huh.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, like, it'd be interesting to take older songs and maybe make music videos out of those. I don't know. There's something I've been thinking about. I don't know, it'd be interesting, at least in my opinion. You know, and of course, another sad one is I don't know if you ever seen the Ordinary Man video with Ozzy Osbourne and Elton John, to where it's Ozzy was retiring and it's showing all the stuff from the Osbourne show and shit on a projector, and he's talking about the end of his career and how he doesn't want to die an ordinary man.
I don't think I've seen that.
And then it cuts to Elton John, and Elton John like finishes the song. Yeah, it's kind of a depressing one. But that's another good one. Like, I seen all kinds of music videos. Like, I don't know if you ever seen the Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangsta by the Ghetto Boys, to where it's like they're in court and each Ghetto Boy does a lyric, but it's them testifying. And one of the Ghetto Boys is a midget, and like he's helping out the community and stuff. And I didn't know, like, one of the Ghetto Boys was a midget. So when I first saw the music video, I was like, holy shit, he's a midget. And he's like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster, helping the poor and helping out with their bills. Although I was born in Jamaica, now I'm in the U.S. making drug deals. And then there's one that I like because I'm a fat dude. And he's like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Real gangster-ass niggas don't run fast because we're fat or something. I'm like, yeah, fat gangsters, yeah. But yeah, the Ghetto Boys, that was a good one.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned the Weird Al Yankovic stuff. You know, a lot of his videos are a lot of fun. You know, Eat It, Fat. He did a lot of them. You know.
Oh yeah, he did a lot of them.
I
always like a Surgeon. That was a good one too.
Yeah. Pretty much any song he did that was popular, he made a music video of it. In fact, he did, and I forget the name of the song. Oh man, Dare to Be Stupid.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
But it's a Devo spoof. Yeah, they spoof Devo videos. And
yeah,
I think it's Dare to Be Stupid. That if you're like me, I'm a big fan of Devo, and I'm a big fan of all their videos. You know, the Dare to Be Stupid riffs on Devo. You know, they dress like Devo, and the video cuts the different, you know, moments that if you're a fan of Devo, you would recognize what they're spoofing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Is there an artist that you like that didn't have music videos that you wish they did?
I don't know.
'Cause, I mean, I know it's kind of messed up, but like, I think David Allen Coe would have some pretty interesting music videos. Like, if you ever listen to That Ain't Country about his, you know, about his dad being a mean drunk and his sister being a whore, and then his dad gets violent and the sister has to leave, and just I don't know, kind of the white trash kind of stuff. I think would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but speaking of earlier country, you know, there's a lot of songs like you know Loretta Lynn did, and that I think would make good music videos. You know,
Coal Miner's Daughter would be one. It's like tells a story.
Don't Come Home a Drinking with Lovin' on Your Mind. She did a song called The Pill about the birth control pill. You know, which was kind of edgy at the time, you know, that she did.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but there's several of her songs that I think would have made.
You know, it's a good music video. You remember Eddie Murphy's "Party All the Time" with Rick James?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one too. And then Rick James, he just can't take it no more because Eddie Murphy's singing so good. He has to get in on the action. Yeah, I love that one. "Party All the Time" is a good one. But there's a lot of, I mean, you go all day with music videos. So I like a lot of the rap ones are good too. Like, I don't know if you've seen Tupac's Ghetto Gospel. That's another one that features Elton John on it. So Tupac's rapping, and then Elton John like does the singing part. And it talks about like this dude, he's walking through the ghetto and he sees like homeless people and all kinds of crazy stuff, and he's just kind of talking about like, you know, everything that's going on. And I think they took they sampled Indian, was it Sunset or Sunrise or whatever that was. That's what they took like the lyrics from that. But it was interesting having Tupac and Elton John, because that's like two different genres of music, but they made it work.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of as far as rap.
DMX, Ain't No Sunshine with Steven Seagal. They did that for some shitty movie where he did a rap but a semi cover of Ain't No Sunshine. And it's for like some weird Steven Seagal movie. So like he's rapping and he says, "No matter how many tears your mom cry, ain't gonna bring your ass back. Plus in hell you're gonna fry." And it shows Steven Seagal like shooting a gun. That was a good one.
I always really liked Public Enemy, and like the beginning of "Do the Right Thing." It's kind of shot like a music video, you know, with their song "Fight the Power."
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Ghetto Boys. Like I said, they had a good music video. They did the music for Office Space. Some of the Tupac ones were good. You ever see the Ice Cube one for Friday? It's Friday, and they're all in the house getting high and stuff. They promoted it for like the New Line movie. Those Ice Cube and them smoking once. Today Was a Good Day with Ice Cube was another good one. Gin and Juice with Snoop Dogg, where like, "I want that dog out my house," and Snoop Dogg like turns into a dog, and he starts rapping like with the gin and juice. That was a pretty good one. I can talk about music videos all day because like I've seen so many crazy weird ones. If you want to get to like a one I like, it's a country one by Toby Keith called "Who's That Man?" to where he's divorced and he's driving around and he's kind of like spying on the house to where his wife divorced him, and he's like, "Who's that man living my life?" and stuff. Real kind of sad and depressing one. You ever seen that one?
I don't think so.
He's in a truck. And he's
You
like,
named a
"Who?"
bunch of them that I don't think I've
He
seen.
said,
I've heard the
"Who's
songs, but
that?"
haven't seen the music.
Yeah, he's like, "That's my house and that's my car. That's my dog in my backyard." And he's just going through all that stuff. It's a real sad song, and I thought it was really well. And then it's kind of controversial because they have a before all the controversy with the Confederate statues started. You know, there was that band Confederate Railroad that had the music video "Daddy Never Was the Cadillac Kind," where it talks about how the dad was very blue collar and stuff, and he was a coal miner, and he didn't really, he wasn't very high, maintenance and stuff. And then, the dad ends up dying, and he ends up riding away in a Cadillac at the end of the song. And he said, "Well, I hope Daddy enjoyed the ride because he never was the Cadillac kind." And it's shot in black and white, and it's a really good video, but it's one of those ones. It's just due to all the stuff, and I get it. The Confederates are bad guys, they're racist, all that. But I don't know if like people really back then were thinking, "I'm gonna name my band after the Klan or something," But they won't play it on the radio or anything like that now because of the name, which is kind of a shame because it's a really good song and the music video is really good. They also did the song "The Queen of Memphis," which is a pretty good song. I don't know if you ever heard that one.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I saw Elvis dancing in blue suede shoes, and something like. Then that's how I met the Queen of Memphis. It's a really good song. You should look up their stuff, but they're kind of forgotten about just because of their name,
Well, you
which is
named
a
a lot of
shame.
stuff that I want to look up.
But yeah, Daddy Never Was a Cadillac Kind was a good one, and I like Aaron Tippins. I Got It Honest. I never had to hold my head in shame for putting a price tag on my name. It's basically kind of like another blue collar type song, and the moral of the story is he got it honest. I like that one too. That's a good one. And then I don't know if you ever seen. Damn, I'm drawing a blank. I think it's Mark Colley, I think was his name. But Even the Man in the Moon is Crying. That's another good music video. Country one from the '90s, and of course Garth Brooks, "The Thunder Rolls," which was one to where like the lady shoots the husband, and it got pulled from CMT too. So the thunder rolls and the lightning strikes, bam, bam, bam. And then probably my favorite music video ever was by the band called the Pirates of the Mississippi, and it's called "Feed Jake." And it's about this guy. He's going to a funeral to pick up his dead friend's dog. And it's like, "I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, feed Jake. He was a good dog, my best friend right through it all. If I die before I wake, feed Jake." And it's just him driving, and it's basically what he sees. So he's driving, and he says, "Well, Broadway's like a sewer. There's bums and hookers everywhere. Winos passed out on the sidewalk. Doesn't anybody care? Some say they're worthless. I disagree. And so were their mamas and stuff." Like real depressed, the kind of like sad shit makes you think. And through the music video, you see the main character and the guy that's dead as children with the dog as a puppy. And then at the very end of the music video, of course, it's a grown man. And at the end of the video, the dog is all old and arthritic and shit. He picks it up and takes it in the car and leaves the gravesite. And it's "Feed Jake."
Oh, I have to look that one up. That one just makes just the thought of it makes me want to cry.
It's It's by the Pirates of the Mississippi. It's a very good song, and it was actually quite progressive for the time, and it pissed some people off because back in the '90s in the Bible Belt. But there's one part that says, "If you wear an earring, we'll call you gay, but if you drive a pickup, we'll say no, he's straight." Basically, and it shows like some dude he sees, and I guess the character knows the dude is gay or something, but he's pretending to be straight or something. Because it's basically him just driving through like these different towns, seeing shit, and then at the very end of the song, you see him with a dog running towards him, and it's all old and fat and shit. Because at the beginning of the video, it's a puppy, and then he just drives off with it, and you see the dead owner's grave. And it said, "Feed Jake," and it's over. And that music video was so popular that Colin Ray, he was all like, "Yep, I just lost music video of the year to that." Which
Feed
Colin Ray is Feed Jake by the Pirates of the Mississippi. Yeah, it's a real good song. If I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, feed Jake. He's been a good dog. It's a sad song, man. And then there's another one that's really good. Speaking of Colin Ray, called Little Rock, where he's a recovering alcoholic, and it basically shows what he went through as a little kid. And his dad would get drunk and beat the hell out of his mom and stuff. And the reason why he went to rehab is he started to beat his wife or whatever. So like it's him, like I guess like trying to get his life together and stuff in the music video, and it's very powerful stuff. But I like that it doesn't hold back. It shows like what domestic abuse and stuff really looks like and stuff. And it's another one that I think CMT just kind of got cold feet on, but it's telling a story about like alcoholism and domestic abuse and all that stuff. But it's Little Rock by Colin Ray, which that's a pretty good one too. It kind of goes back to my thing to where like there's country music that tells a story and talks about life, and they kind of got put on the back burner for, I like it, I love it, and don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, doodle 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 doo. But that's what a lot of people hate on country music. But if you actually listen to like real good country, like the good shit, there's a lot of good stuff out there. It's not all just it's not all Luke Bryan and stuff. There's actually like some really good country stuff out there. But yeah, that's a depressing music video, but another good one. I don't know if you like Restless Heart, but the Bluest Eyes in Texas is a good one, and Fast Moving Train, that was another good one with Restless Heart, where like the dude talks about meeting this girl who slept around with a bunch of dudes and he didn't want to fall in love with her, and he talks about like when that night I couldn't stop calling your name, and that's when I knew I was hit by a fast moving train. And it's like real shot real well and stuff. I like it. A little more raunchy, but it works well.
Well, like I say, there's some music videos that are just fun and just sort of captures the spirit of the artist. There's a lot of Madonna stuff.
Yeah, like Madonna had some good stuff. Like the Papa Don't Preach video, I thought was really well made and kind of spoke out against like racism and stuff like that. And there's just, and then there's some that they don't really have a message to them, like that Sledgehammer video. That was just kind of weird shit, just for the sake of being weird, where. Yeah. Or the Doctors and the Medics with Spirit in the Sky. If you ever seen their music video for Spirits in the Sky, it's just them being. They did a cover of that song, and it's them being weird and dressed like Japanese people for some reason,
But like I said, Van Halen, that Hot for Teacher video, the jump video, just fun. And
Smoking in the Boys' Room with Motley Crue and Michael Berryman, where Michael Berryman's the principal. It's just fun stuff.
Yeah. But okay, we got some good. We definitely got something that I want to look up, and I want you to write down, "Come to Daddy" and "Rubber Johnny."
Come to Daddy and Rubber Johnny. All right.
Come to Daddy and Rubber Johnny. And
I'll watch Come to Daddy once we get off of this, and I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, let me know. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. And after that, watch Rubber Johnny by the same artist, Aphex Twin, and I think the same director. I'm trying to think what the name of the director was that directed both of those. And there's another one, and I forget the name of the song, but there's another one by the same artist and the same director that I guess if you look up Rubber Johnny and Come to Daddy, maybe you'll see a link to the
yeah.
But I'm trying.
And with some of these songs, I know people are real sensitive nowadays, but I don't want to sugarcoat the lyrics or anything. So if there's some lyrics or whatever that are offensive, I want to say them. It's kind of like back when we were in school and we had to read To Kill a Mockingbird. We didn't censor the words. The teacher made us say it. I just kind of feel like that's kind of part of the process,
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff, it gets really dark, and there's like a lot of the Eminem stuff too. Like,
oh yeah,
he kind of goes there, and you kind of got to say like, the words because it adds to the music video and stuff, you know.
And but yeah, look up those two. It would Come to Daddy. That'd be the first one you go to. Then watch Rubber Johnny. Your life will be changed after you see those movies. After you see those videos, it will be a
Damn, I don't know.
life
Come to
changing
Daddy might give me nightmares.
Well, Come to Daddy will give you nightmares. Rubber Johnny might too. Rubber Johnny gave me nightmares. Even probably more so than even Come to Daddy. But Come to Daddy is so fucked up. It's a little horror movie, is what it is. It's a music video, but basically it's a little compact horror film. Yeah, I definitely want to hear what you think about Come to Daddy when you say
Come to Daddy. All right.
And then Rubber Johnny.
And Rubber Johnny.
And then Rubber Johnny, yeah. But yeah, we'll finish it. We'll definitely give me something that I want to look up.
I recommend if you're gonna watch any of them, the Feed Jake music video I think is the best.
I wrote Feed
and
Jake.
I sent the song to Rambo Raft to review, and I don't think he liked the song, but I think it's because he didn't watch the music video. The music video adds context to the song because the song sounds random until you really watch the music video.
I wrote Feed Jake and I wrote Dolores down, and definitely I'll watch it later. And here's some others that you've brought up that I want to check out. But
yeah, Feed Jake, that's one that is. I don't know if I'm just getting weaker, but like, man, that made me bawl like a baby when I seen Feed Jake. I was like, damn. Especially because I had a friend that was murdered, and it just kind of makes you think about that shit and kind of brings up stuff. And I'm a dog lover too, so the fact that it was a dog, and you see the dog by the owner's grave, and he's all old and shit, and it's just like, damn.
And we haven't seen you kitty cats lately. I've seen Sassafras and such. Are they everyone doing okay?
Yeah, they're doing all right. They're just kind of, they pick a spot in the house to chill, and they're very stubborn. They will not move. Like when they were here, this was her chair, and for whatever reason, for months, this is her chair. Now she likes to sit in the windowsill by the toilet, so I have to try to take her out when I take a Duke, but she will not move. She'll bust through the door and jump back up there, and I'm like, I don't know. I remember the vet just said, cats are very stubborn, so just leave them alone and don't try to move them, because the more you try to move them, the more they'll try to stay. So
yeah,
that's kind of my strategy. So hopefully she'll get out the bathroom pretty soon and not be sitting in the windowsill. But yeah, that's why she kept jumping up here, because apparently cats are territorial, and like she's like, that's my chair. What are you doing in my chair? Get out, type stuff. But poor Sassafras, she's. I let her go wherever she wants to go because she's old as the hills, I mean, shit. And El Santo, he's an outdoor cat, and the vet said let him hang around because he's neutered, and they cut his ear, so I don't have to worry about little El Santos.
I got that bunch of outdoor cats, and they've all got the clipped ears. They're all fixed. All got the clipped ears.
Yeah, I feed them and stuff, and I know. Like he's very friendly with people. Like my buddy Terrell was over, and El Santo was real nice to him. But I don't think El Santo likes women much, because when my sisters were, if it's a woman, he kind of gets a little. I don't know what it is. He just kind of. If you're a dude, you're all right, but he kind of growls at women, and for some reason, he hates the post office people.
Huh?
The post office people comes on the porch, he'll hiss, and he don't like the post office people. And the dogs don't either. So the postman comes on the porch, he gets hissed at by the cat. Then when he walks, the dogs are. So I bet he hates coming to my house. He's like, that's the house with that weird cat that's sitting on the porch. And then when I leave, the dogs harass me too. And what's bad is I have a little stump by the fence, and Lightning Bear will get on there, and she'll step up, put her paws on the fence, stick her head over the fence, and bark at them.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. And sometimes I'll watch my neighbor's house. They'll sit on the picnic table and just stare at their house. And I'm like, Lightning, Lucy, stop. They're going to think y'all are weirdos watching their house. What are you doing? But yeah, my pets, that's why that song Feed Jake hit hard, because my pets are kind of old. I had them for a long time, and it's just,
and they become like family members. you know.
So they are like family. Well, I mean, my dogs are pretty young, but a lot of the cats, like Sassafras, is old as hell. Twinkie is old as hell, and then Angel, who I think he might have been the oldest. I had his ashes, and then when my mom died, I put his ashes in with the casket because that was her favorite cat. So it just kind of makes me think of pets, which makes me think of that, and it's just I don't know. But it's a good song. It pulls on your heartstring. And any song about a dog, man. Like I'm the kind of person I care more about animals than people in movies. So if I watch like a film and someone dies, if it's a person, I'm okay. Like if Art the Clown kills a bunch of people, that's okay, but he better not kill a dog or a cat, you know. Art can kill all the humans he wants, just leave the cats and dogs alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And old Thomas Fuzzy Penguin, I have his ashes over there in a little box, you know. Yeah, so it just kind of hits. I don't have a soft spot for animals. That's why I don't like going to the zoos anymore because I see like the tigers and shit behind the cages, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Poor little tiger. But yeah, do you have any more videos or?
No, I actually, like I say, what I should have made a twice as big a list because I thought in what I had, I thought, oh man, this will definitely I'll get to the show easy with this list. And I got through them pretty fast, uh, um, and just my damn brain is not clicking right now. I'm trying to think. There's so many that I probably could name that you know, and just growing up, you know, going to high school and all that, all the videos I watched. And but nothing's clicking. You've come up with so many.
Yeah, because music videos are like one of my favorite mediums, I guess you would say. Yeah, I know like the term music video director gets kind of a bad rap, but I don't know. I think some of the music videos are really well made and are like there's a band called the Fine Young Cannibals and they did that music video, She Drives Me
It
Crazy.
drives
That's
me
another one of
crazy.
my favorite
Yeah,
ones
I
too.
did that. As soon as you brought in Fine Young Cannibals, that song, she drives me crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's certain for UB40's cover of Red Red Wine when they did the music video for that, and the guy he gets drunk at the bar, and then the weird dad has to like pick him up from the gutter and take him home, and like they're drinking beer in the music video, but they're singing about wine, but like they just made the mug red. That was pretty interesting one. And I didn't know that the dude from UB40 was white till I saw the music video. I thought he was like Jamaican or something.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, there's so many. I could name music videos all day. You know, I love them.
Well, we might actually do another show talking about music videos.
Like I said, you could do a whole series on them.
Yeah. And speaking of great directors that direct music videos, well, when you see Come to Daddy and Rubber Johnny, you're going to want to look up that director. And I don't know if he's directed movies or not, but you go and just once you see, particularly when you see Come to Daddy, I wanted to go and see what else that director did. The guy that directed that, what else he did. That's why I found Rubber Johnny, which is by the still Aphex Twin, and another one I can't think, but my gosh, I really like it. And like I say, when you watch those two, you probably see a link or whatever, or look up the was it Cunningham? I'm trying to think of the guy's name that directed it. But anyway, yeah, definitely watch those two and then message me. Let me know what you thought.
Yeah, I'll check them out. I just have a love for music too, because I remember my grandparents, they would watch the old people channel, and sometimes there'd be reruns of like Soul Train or Hee Haw and stuff like that.
Man,
And
you
I just
call
kind of,
that the old people channel?
it was, they would
I
watch the
grew
old
up with
people
Soul
channel.
Train. I grew up with Soul Train. I grew uh, I grew up with Hee Haw, you know, and what's more, they were news shows when I was watching them. They, I was watching the new episodes of
That's
Soul Train,
why,
watching the
you
new
know,
version of Hee Haw. You know.
That's why there are certain songs though. If we're just talking about music, Rod Stewart did a music video for Some Guys Have All the Luck, but there was I don't know if it was Motown or someone else, but there was a black band that was the original singer of the song, and they did a better job than Rod Stewart, called the Persuaders. Some Guys Have All the Luck, and I think they did a better job because Rod Stewart made it real upbeat and some guys have all the luck. And like I kind of like the soul version of that song. It's a little sadder and it just works better to me, you know.
Yeah, and some of it was that 80s, was that song, Come On, Feel the Noise?
Yeah.
There's the original version of that I forget what the name of the group is, the original version of that. I like the original version better.
If you want to see something crazy, look up the original singer for Who Let the Dogs Out. It's not the Baja Men, and it's a sad song. And if you look at the lyrics, you'll be like, I can't believe they played this on the kids' station. I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you look at it, it's basically about men being shit and treating women like shit. And the woman is like, well, who let the dogs out?
Huh.
But of course, people don't pay attention to the lyrics, and the Baja Men are like, yippee-yi-yo, who let their dogs out? Woo, woo. So you don't pay attention to it. But I showed my cousin that because he didn't believe me, and he was reading the lyrics. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is on Nickelodeon. And I'm like, yeah. But that kind of goes back to the music video stuff, because in the music video, it's just them chasing dogs and jumping around in the camera and being all ADD and stuff. Katy Perry had some good music videos too, and like I could talk about music videos all day. We should do an episode on westerns sometimes too, because I could talk about westerns for forever and a day too.
Well, I love westerns. Yeah, we'll think about that, doing a western show, because they've got John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. There's so many movies that we could talk about, and TV shows, of course. Gunsmoke. I watch Gunsmoke. I watch Gunsmoke pretty much every day.
I'm drawing a blank on his name, but who was the guy from the man who shot Liberty Valance in a Rear Window? He talked like this. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, God.
I'm drawing a Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
I watched a western with him called Shenandoah. I watched one with him called Shenandoah, to where he didn't believe in slavery and the Civil War was happening, but he didn't want to take a side. But his son got mistaken for a Confederate, so he has to try to find his son, and this whole war is going on. And it was kind of weird seeing Jimmy Stewart being a tough guy, because normally he's kind of like he talks like this, but in this one he kind of
Jimmy Stewart, yeah.
But in this one, he was kind of a tough guy. He got into fights and shit. It was a pretty good movie. That's kind of like why I like going to half-price books, because I'll just find something. It's like the old video store days. I'll find something, and I'll pick it out, and I'll watch it and be like, damn, I would have never picked that unless I was at half-price books,
Well, that also that sparks the song that I should have had it on the list, but I didn't. And this was one of my early contacts with music videos, period, was a song called Rocket by Herbie Hancock. And it's all like robots and, life-size puppets and things that are moving into the beat of the music. And it's kind of a early sort of a hip-hop sounding song. It's instrumental. It's all instrumental. But Rocket by Herbie Hancock.
It's interesting, because I was going to mention David Bowie. Talk about him doing stuff in the early 70s, but David Bowie got a lot of heat with MTV because he did an interview, and he said that MTV wasn't featuring black artists that were making music videos, and he was kind of calling them out on that, and they kind of had heat with David Bowie about that, and they were even kind of pushing back on some of his videos too. I don't know if you remember that. It was a big controversy at the time.
Yeah, now that you're bringing that up.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting with the history of music videos and stuff that's trying to get on there. And because of that, you had BET, which played a lot of the rap stuff. And then eventually you had Yo MTV Raps and VH1 and stuff like that. It's kind of a weird, like, if you want to look at it from a historical context, the music video has kind of helped a lot of people, even like Ice Cube and them, get into independent filmmaking with the Friday movies and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because if they wouldn't have had a chance, if it wasn't for like the whole music video type thing. But yeah, music videos are more
I'm glad you brought
important.
that up about westerns, because and of course, I still want to do that. The subject where we talk about movies and the feature vehicles, you know. But when you brought up music videos, I said, "Oh no, that'll be the show. That's one."
Yeah, that's one I could go all day about that. But yeah, westerns are definitely one I would love to do a show on westerns because there's so many of them that I like.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I guess, would you say it's a dead genre, maybe?
Yeah, there's a few things out. What was that one recently? In
With Kevin Costner?
the Tubi produced it, and it's on Tubi, and that you speaking of midgets, it's what's his name is in it.
Is Peter Dinklage?
Peter Dinklage is in it.
Yeah, he got Hornswoggle fired from Snow White and all the other little people. Fuck him.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, you don't see many westerns made. You know, there's a few that are coming out.
There was one with Kevin Costner that was supposed to play it. It was supposed to play at Cinemark, and I wanted to see it. I'm like, I'll go next week, and it was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, it's gone. And the person at the Cinemark's like, it didn't sell. They're like, it just did, you know. And then you look at what does sell, it's all superhero shit. So it's kind of like the Western's kind of dead, unfortunately. That really made me mad. I should have went. I should have been like, you know what, I'm going to go see that movie. And it's just like, no, I'll wait. It's gone.
Yeah.
And I went to the AMC, and it was gone from the AMC too.
These days, you have to catch a movie pretty fast, you know, because back in the day, where movies would just play, you know, weeks at a time.
Yeah, but I wanted to see that Western on a big IMAX screen, you know, widescreen, surround sound, all that good stuff. And it was just kind of like, nope, it's gone. Nobody bought a ticket. It's gone.
But okay, Brandon, stick with me here. But I'm gonna sign off, and it's been another good show. Yeah, music videos, really kind of a wouldn't say a lost art form, because they're still doing it. They're still making.
They're still doing it.
But
it's just more on YouTube than on cable. Yeah. But then again, cable's like dead, I guess.
And I wish we had something like MTV back again. That
you remember, like the VJs, videos,
but that would show stuff about music, that would show concerts, that would show, you know, things like that.
Yeah, and also the VJs. Freddy Krueger was a VJ on MTV. He would like go in there and be like, "I'm the video DJ." You know, you don't have nothing like that. It's all gone. And if you do see music videos,
and just you know, not watching the music videos, but also just the stuff about what.
Yeah, like behind the music.
Music's coming out.
Or like have a new Casey Kasem, even with the radio. Since Casey Kasem died, you ain't really got no one doing the American Top 40 no more.
Right.
It's gone.
You brought up Soul Train, Don Cornelius. Soul Train. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everyone that's watching and are going to watch. Please give us a thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up if you like what you're seeing.
If the Jehovah's Witnesses can knock door to door, you can share a video. It's just one click.
There you go. Spread the word. Let folks know. And we're always trying to come up with something new to talk about, something different to talk about. And really appreciate it. Everyone that's watching. Didn't have anyone speak up tonight, so don't have anyone to thank for speaking up tonight. But keep it up. Keep watching. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care of yourself. Is that my phone talking to me about the weather?
Oh, shit.
About the Texas weather.
You remember old Rusty Garrett, KWTX?
Oh, yeah, Rusty Garrett. He got throat cancer.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah. And
I was wondering what happened to him.
But listen, he got successful treatment of it, but then it came back. And now, but I saw him fairly recently, and he looked okay, Rusty Garrett. I mean, even though he's still dealing with that, he was
Did
talking.
he talk?
He was talking, yeah. He he looked old. He's old, but he looked okay.
He came to my school, and I got to meet Rusty Garrett, and it was cool as hell. And it was crazy because he's a local dude, but there's people who didn't even have kids that were coming to the school to meet Rusty Garrett.
I'm jealous because I always really liked Rusty Garrett. Of course, back in the day, he was the weatherman. He was the local Channel 10 KWTX weatherman.
If I was a rock and roll singer, I would do a song called "The Ballad of Rusty Garrett" just to him.
Yeah. But no, he's still kicking, Rusty Garrett, even though he's dealing with this second round of chemo again. But he looked okay, given what he's going through. He looked okay. But okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please hit the thumbs up. We will see y'all soon. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.